Welcome to the Power Foods Lifestyle Podcast. I'm Kristy Jo, a certified fitness nutrition specialist, personal trainer, and weight loss specialist. I've been teaching the Power Foods Lifestyle since 2012, which is a system of principles you can use to design your own approach to strategic eating. My hope is that you will gain confidence as the strategist of your own health as you seek to power your body. Learn more and grab awesome stuff to help you out at powerfoodslifestyle.com, sold by Scene Company. Welcome to episode 253, where we are talking weeks 14 and 15 of pregnancy. In our pregnancy series, I am sharing some nutrition tips, ways to stay motivated, and hopefully just keep you a little bit more focused than you might otherwise be. I just barely entered week 16 myself, and so 14 and 15 were still a little bit rough. I thought they weren't going to be, and that's why I'm lumping them together. And hopefully we can together come up with some ideas for improving meal timing, looking at a little bit more meal structure. I'm going to give you a vitamin to focus on getting through power foods, some ideas for approaching indulgent foods and meals, and then some ideas for meals and snacks. So grab a pen and paper or just plan to take some notes on your phone. Just remember, take notes only on actionable items, things you actually want to implement. I don't want to overwhelm you. I'm just here to give you some ideas. So, yay, we're out of the first trimester, hooray. Sometimes we expect things to just magically change, right? Like, I don't know about for you, but for me, I'm like, oh, maybe my libido will come back. Nah, not yet. Oh, maybe my energy and my motivation and my drive will come back. Nah, not yet. Why I'm, recording this in week 16, didn't even touch it in 14 and 15. So sometimes we think things are just going to magically change. And maybe for you, they have, and awesome, that's exciting. But if they haven't, don't worry. Everything is about baby steps forward, truly. And what a fun pun, right? Baby steps. So we're just trying to focus on getting some basics back into your diet, or perhaps feeling great if you're already on the right track. Just a quick note on maternity clothes, because we're all so different. If this is your first baby, please do not compare the growing of your bump and your body to other people. I know it's so much easier said than done. Some people will definitely be needing to sizing up their clothes already. This baby, for me, I'm carrying much, much higher than my first baby. And so I am still actually in my pre-pregnancy clothes, which is weirding me out. At the end of the day, I usually undo the button, and I wear big baggy shirts at this point. And so it's weirding me out. So I have all my maternity clothes in the closet, but I'm in that weird interim where there's I feel like 2 months where you're just like, I don't fit anything. And so don't go buy those button extenders. They're like $5 to $8 on Amazon, I think. Just use a pony holder and you loop it around your button. You do a little fish hook through it and then loop it around the button. So that's one of my favorite cheap ways to do pants extenders. And then if you're wearing a big baggy long shirt, then you don't have to worry about it. For most women who have already had a baby, their second, third, fourth plus babies, they will definitely notice that their bump grows much quicker. Your body and your muscles know where to go. It's kind of muscle memory. And so you may feel really big by now. And just whatever it is, that's just part of the journey, right? According to AmericanPregnancy.org, your baby is now over 4 inches long, which is 10 centimeters. And weighs just a little bit less than 2 ounces or 0.05 kilograms. Your baby is continuing to grow and mature at this point. Your baby's arms are going to begin to lengthen and become more proportioned to the rest of the body. The liver is beginning to produce bile, while the spleen is beginning to produce red blood cells. The development of your baby's brain enables the facial muscles to grimace, frown, and squint. Your baby may even be sucking his or her thumb. Because you have begun the second trimester and most of the critical development has been completed, the chance of miscarriage decreases. Always crossed fingers, right? We do our best and just pray, pray, pray. All right, so calories, as a reminder, it's true that you are eating to nourish both you and your baby, but that doesn't certainly mean you need to eat double. Even my husband is so cute, and when I'm eating something non-strategic or being like, don't judge me, he's always like, you're eating for 2. I'm like, you're not allowed to say that. It's not true. But it tends to be the cliche thing that people say to help us feel better, or ourselves to feel better, right? When we're feeling less than motivated and disciplined. At the 14th week of pregnancy, we needed to start consuming a mere 340 calories more per day than we did before we were pregnant. And this is just this isn't saying for you to maintain weight or anything. This is simply to sustain the energy, aka calorie needs, of this developing fetus. Most women need 2,200 to 2,900 calories to achieve a healthy weight gain during pregnancy. I would say personally, I am falling in that. I'd probably say I am not tracking macros at this point. I have zero desire to, but I'd say if I were just guesstimating based on my experience with nutrition, I'm falling around 2,300 to 2,500 personally. And at this point, I have gained 15 pounds. And I feel good about that. That's 5 pounds less than I gained with my first baby in the first trimester. That's where I gained the majority of my weight, to be honest. And when I say weight, I'm talking extra body fat. Because certainly blood volume, placenta, baby itself, like that's all going to add up to, I think they say around 25 pounds. So my goal with myself is to always stay under 40 total pounds of weight, because that means 15 pounds of excess body fat I can usually get off in 6 to 9 months postpartum. Well, usually. I've had one experience, guys. So that's at least my ballpark for this time around. I certainly, from my first baby, have zero expectation of getting off excess body fat within the first 6 months. That's the time to heal and recover and to regenerate. At about 6 months postpartum is where I, with my last baby, felt like, okay, let's start attacking this a little bit heavier. So I think that's my plan, a little bit more grace in that first 6 months with myself for baby number 2. Meal structure. If you're new to the Power Foods lifestyle, I use a system of acronyms to represent a portion of food from different categories of macronutrients. What are macros? If that's a new word to you, there's 3: protein, carbs, and fats. As a quick reminder, let me go through what each of these does. Protein is used by every cell and tissue in both your body and your baby's body. We want to consume 0.5 grams of protein per pound of our pre-pregnancy ideal weight, plus an additional 25 grams to help support growing baby. So for example, I at 5'9", my pre-pregnancy weight was 140. So during pregnancy, I need 95 grams, though I probably hit a range of 100 to 120 grams per day. Because I did talk through that fast and you're probably like, wait, go back and do the math. I'm going to do it one more time for you. So 0.5 grams of protein per pound of pre-pregnancy ideal weight. So let's say you started at 180. So 0.5 grams of that is 90 plus 25 grams is 115 grams of protein per day would be a good ballpark. If you started, let's say 110 pounds, maybe you're one of our petite friends out there, 110 pounds divided by 2 would be 55 grams plus 25 would be 80 grams of protein per day. In that situation, I'd probably encourage you just bump it up a little bit more. If you could hit 90 or 95, that would be really good. And that's just based on even overall nutrition, Power Foods lifestyle. We like to see protein a little bit higher. Now, if you're having a really hard time getting protein in, then yes, settle for that, the bare minimum. But it is definitely a good thing to be eating more protein. Carbohydrates are your energy source, and especially during pregnancy. I will never advocate for a keto pregnancy except in rare cases of autoimmune disease and, very, very customized specific needs to an individual and their health. And so I will never, on a large scale public level, teach a ketogenic approach to pregnancy. I probably myself will never do one. So I do believe in getting those carbs up during pregnancy. And yeah, ideally, we'd love to see those be complex carbs. But here in the beginning, there's going to be a lot of those simple carbs, right? So anyway, it's your energy source. It feeds your brain. It feeds all the energy cells in the body. A beautiful system in a healthy functioning body allows the pancreas to secrete the hormone insulin, which helps your body pull those carbohydrates, aka sugars, into the cells to be used for that energy and to be used in the brain for energy. There is no set number that I'm going to give you to try and reach on carbs. I just want you to know that carbs should be a good portion of what we're eating in a day and at each meal, and I'll talk about that in just a second. Fats are very helpful for feelings of satiety or fullness. If you're not ever feeling full, we want to look at, are you getting enough fat? Fat really helps with all of the hormones. It helps with important vitamin absorption, vitamins A, E, D, and K. Those are called fat-soluble vitamins. Fats also help with healthy skin, hair, and nails. So we do want to make sure we're not just getting hydrogenated, non-strategic fats, but we want to be focusing on getting monounsaturated, polyunsaturated fats, and so forth. Now, saturated fats are okay. We just want to make sure they're balanced with our monos and our polys, as I call them, or MUFA and PUFA. So going back, protein, we use a capital P for a portion of protein, carbs, a capital C, fats, a capital F. And then we also include, now these are not macros, but we include these in our meal structure. Vegetables is a capital V, and that's just like a fist size portion of vegetables, and fruits. Now fruits technically count as carbohydrates, though they're not as dense in carbs, most of them, let me say most. So we usually get to eat a larger serving size than a different type of carb to equal a carb portion. Now, in this pregnancy series, if you're totally new to Power Foods Lifestyle, I'm not going to go through exact numbers. That's not a goal for pregnancy at all. So if you're curious about those, let's go back and maybe you can search on powerfoodslifestylepodcast.com, go to the search feature at the top, and you can search for basic Power Foods Lifestyle explanations. And I go through what a technical portion size is for each macronutrient group in macronutrients. So again, we have a P, we have a V, we have a C, and we have a V. So that C could be either fruit or other complex or simple carbs. So C is really all-inclusive for a lot of stuff. Now, a meal in pregnancy, technically we want to see most of the time at our main meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, is a PVCF, protein, veggie, carb, fat combination. For snacks, try out different combinations to figure out what feels good in your body. Try a PVF or a PVC, or even a VC or a VF. And yes, you can even do VCF. There is no right or wrong, only what you learn about your body's preferences and how it feels and responds. I think one of the most beneficial parts of double checking yourself and saying, hey, is this technically, air quotes, a meal in Power Foods Lifestyle? And most of the time, if you add a vegetable to it or add a protein, you're just helping round that meal out. You are helping to stabilize blood sugar, you're allowing more vitamin absorption, and just helping nourish your body a little bit more. So again, we're taking a very simple approach to this. Ask yourself, could I tack on a P here? How could I get more protein in? And how could I add a vegetable? When it comes to indulging, we all have different cravings. Until around week 20, nauseousness or even motivation to improve our eating is still waxing and waning. Yes, absolutely, I agree. So let's be patient with ourselves at this point and give ourselves lots of flexibility. It may be interesting to note that our metabolism slows down in pregnancy. In fact, a few studies have found it to become that of a very metabolically unhealthy person, so as to preserve energy for these bodybuilding processes. So if we not only eat at caloric normality, we might gain weight slowly, but if we totally throw any notion of discipline and control to the wind, we might find ourselves with a lot more weight gain than we thought. After all, we still have 25 more weeks or so until this sweet baby, or bless your heart, babies, until they're here. Now that's a long time for us, and a lot can shift in our body composition if we're not mindful. I don't want to create fear in you. I don't want to create this paranoia. I think it's really important to recognize that this is a beautiful experience. We don't want to over control things. That's never my intention here. But being mindful does have its payoffs. It really does in postpartum. And so that's just my greatest desire for myself and for you, is if we can just pay a little more attention, just a little bit of discipline mustered, that perhaps our journey on the backside of things will be a little easier, perhaps, less, I don't know. I feel like every word I'm going to say someone could take the wrong way, but I hope you are feeling my heart in this. Okay, so a few ideas to help rein in any behaviors that you know probably aren't serving you right now, and I'll be very, very open and honest with what I'm experiencing as well. Plan an appropriate portion size for indulgent foods and stick to the pre-planned size. So indulgent foods. For me at this point, an indulgent food is cookies or cake or Doritos, which yes, finished a bag last night. Making pasta for dinner instead of a normal chicken, red potato, avocado type dinner for me. I've just been having a lot more fun, I guess, exploring all the different styles of cooking out there. I've just lived Power Foods Lifestyle for so long that suddenly now as a mom and wife, I'm like, hey, this is kind of fun to explore and have all this variety, but also trying to rein myself back in and say, okay, there's a whole reason, Kristy, that people came to you for Power Foods Lifestyle in the first place, because they were out there living that way and realized they need to rein it in. Because yes, these beautiful, wonderful food bloggers that have so many wonderful ideas, yeah, they're great. They taste great. They're easy to prepare, but are they always best for your body composition and your health? No. And that's why we want to use PFL principles to help with that. So when last night, for instance, I wanted pasta, I said, I just want pasta with some marinara sauce and some Parmesan cheese and some chicken. So I planned an appropriate portion size. For me, that was choosing a smaller bowl, not allowing myself to get the big luxury bowls, but stick to my normal ones so that my pasta serving size was under 3/4 cup. And then making sure I added enough shredded chicken to it to raise the protein. So I had my P, I had my C, definitely had my F because I did roll my pasta in butter. But then I added to the mix. I looked at the meal and said, this is incomplete, Kristy, you know better. And so I grabbed some frozen broccoli florets and I sauteed those up with some coconut oil in the cast iron pan. And that was delicious. And so I actually layered it. I went pasta, broccoli, chicken, sauce, cheese, and I add a little bit more fat as well. And then I just stirred that all up together and made a big pasta bowl. It was delicious. So yes, just pre-plan your size, stick to it, don't go back for more. What I could have done better last night, instead of eating Doritos from the bag, I could have put a serving size in a bowl, and then once that bowl was eaten, be done. Because portion sizes can get out of control when eating foods that really hit the spot, it's best to eyeball food groups than trust yourself to eat slowly. For example, the other night, my little family went out to eat. It was a funny story, actually, really fast. My husband and I had a date night planned, and we had some friends that were like, we would love to babysit Aaliyah, and so drop her off. And so we were gung-ho. We were looking forward to it all week. We planned out special outfits to wear. We don't get out very often. And half an hour before we were going to go, I suddenly looked back at the messages and was like, wait, something feels wrong here. And I realized that this was for 2 weeks in the future, not for that day. So I was a little deflated, but also really glad that I didn't show up at their door and have a very awkward moment where they're like, oh, it's not tonight. And so anyway, that's what we went out to Panda Express, and we actually drove around for an hour deciding what I wanted to eat. Panda Express is something that I have really never indulged in. It's somewhere I've eaten maybe once a year, and every time I've eaten there, I get a healthier option. I get the vegetables, I get the grilled chicken or the beef and the broccoli. I've really never tried out anything else there because I've always been so mindful of my body composition and my macros. So I definitely indulged. I got fried rice and orange chicken and beef and broccoli. Now, instead of eating all of it like I wanted to, because it was delicious, and I was like, where has this taste been all my life? Instead, I chose to serve out appropriate portion sizes and then put the rest in the fridge for the next day, which was enjoyable. And just exercising a little bit more self-discipline and control, not only did that help cut down on my heartburn and the Tums I'm taking, because I don't like to take Tums a lot, but it is really the only, for me personally, remedy for heartburn. I've tried apple cider vinegar. I've tried just avoiding those types of foods, but to me, both of those just weren't it. And it wasn't worth it to me to avoid, the types of foods that were turning on my heartburn. I was like, no, that's just not a win-win for me. Anyhow, that was a win to put the Panda Express back in the fridge. Another tip for controlling indulgent behaviors and things that you want to rein in is allowing yourself a flexible window where you do indulge. Maybe that's 4 hours that you're like, from 5 to 9 p.m., it's whatever goes. Maybe it's for lunch and you like to dine out or you like to order in. What works for you? For me, one of these little strategies is that I don't ever indulge before 1 p.m. It's just not in my code of conduct. I rarely splurge for breakfast, and I just set that up as my code that breakfast and lunch foods are power foods to fuel my body. So you'll rarely find me eating stuffed French toast for breakfast on a regular day that's not a holiday or very special birthday. So what could be a good strategy for you to try? Now, don't get frustrated if the first one you try doesn't work well. Just keep brainstorming and try to find a new one. There is so much trial and error in pregnancy nutrition, especially. And once you find something that works, chances are the next week you just might have to reinvent an approach because your moods and your desires change. So keep it up. You can do it. This week's vitamin focus is on folate. Folate is a B vitamin that helps prevent neural tube defects, serious abnormalities of the brain and spinal cord. The synthetic form of folate found in supplements and fortified foods is known as folic acid. Folic acid supplementation has been shown to decrease the risk of premature birth. How much do you need? According to AmericanPregnancy.org, 400 to 1,000 micrograms a day of folate or folic acid before conception and throughout pregnancy is needed. According to the Institute of Medicine, they get a little bit more precise there and say you should be getting 600 micrograms of folate. Some good sources of naturally occurring folate include leafy green vegetables, citrus fruits, and dried beans. So that's kind of just a good little family to know. I'm going to go through and list out a few more specifics though. Half a cup of boiled spinach, 131 micrograms. Half a cup of boiled great northern beans, 90 micrograms. 4 spears of asparagus, 89 micrograms. A small orange, 29 micrograms. An ounce of peanuts, which, how much is an ounce? Half an ounce is a fat serving in the Power Foods lifestyle. So that's 1/8 of a cup or 2 tablespoons. So 1 ounce is a 1/4 cup or 4 tablespoons, and that gives you 27 micrograms. Strawberries, kidney beans, leafy greens, and cauliflower, these are additional types of foods. Let's go through a sample meal plan together. I like to repeat meals so that you can find more ease in shopping, in preparation, and not feel super overwhelmed, because I believe simplicity is the key to sustainability. So let's go through breakfast. Monday, do some scrambled eggs with bell pepper and some diced sweet potato. I like to wrap my sweet potato in tin foil and bake it in the oven for usually about 45 minutes or so at 350 or 400. I actually do this when I'm cooking dinner, and then I just throw in my sweet potatoes because I know I want a few in the fridge for breakfast that week. And just until it comes out soft with a fork. You definitely don't want to overcook these. But then it's baked, and so it's so easy to dice in the morning, throw in a stir fry pan, and to saute with some butter, coconut oil, or avocado oil. And I actually made scrambled eggs and cilantro sweet potato tacos for breakfast this morning, and that was delicious. So certainly love my sweet potato. Another breakfast like that you could do, but use red potato, and that's super yummy as well. Another breakfast idea, you could have oatmeal with berries. I like to mix rolled oats with the little instant packs of oatmeal. I kind of like a half and half approach. I feel like it gives it more flavor, but I'm still getting all the nutrition of the rolled oats. Combine it with a little bit of Greek yogurt and peanut butter for some extra protein and fat. You might want to have a side of bell pepper for an added vegetable there. Another breakfast idea is a BLT toast with egg. So make your whole grain toast, do a fried egg on top of that, add some lettuce, preferably, darker green lettuce like spinach or mustard greens or something like that. And then your tomato, and add an avocado so you get some of that healthy fat in there. Of course, the healthy fat is going to also be in the egg yolk. Even though that's saturated, that is a wonderful vitamin-packed type of fat for you. Some ideas for lunch this week. You could have a salad with ground turkey on it, some diced avocado, and make cilantro rice. I did a little copycat version of Cafe Rio, which is a popular Mexican restaurant in Utah that's super, super well known for its yumminess. And so I will actually hook you up with a link to that copycat cilantro rice that I made. It is divine, and I have been loving having some of the leftovers on my salads or throwing in with eggs and just reusing that as a carb source. You could also do that same salad, but throw salmon or mackerel on there. Instead of the avocado, you could use olives. And instead of the avocado, you could also use pumpkin seeds. Those are really great for your immune system. Another idea for that salad is using grilled chicken. Throw on some beets and peanuts. Another idea for lunch is a grilled chicken burrito. Add some cheese, some dark leafy greens, tomato, and olives. For dinner, I like having a different dinner Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I like to plan on indulging for date night Friday, and then Saturday is a leftover dinner. And then Sunday is something like a pot roast, red potatoes, carrots, zucchini, something very simple. For me, if I'm going to do a potato, I don't add rolls because that's a double carb source. So I like to pick and choose. And if I want potatoes, then I certainly will choose that over rolls or breadsticks or anything like that. So some of my dinner ideas for this week that I will be making include veggie loaded meatloaf with sweet potato. That veggie loaded meatloaf is a recipe that is in my low carb cookbook, which you can get over at powerfoodslifestyle.com. That's sold by Scene Company. turkey lasagna with a side of steamed broccoli or okra. That's going to give you some extra vitamins there. Chicken soup with lentils, vegetables, and oil to bring up the fat source. I like to use sausage, like, what brand is it? Idell, Aidell, that I just dice that and I would put it on a cookie sheet with some tin foil or a baking sheet. And then I like to cut up red potatoes or sweet potatoes with some vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, zucchini, squash, and carrots. And I love to roast that. And that's so simple. I love that. That's a good busy night one. And then some snack ideas. If you want a mid-afternoon snack, or maybe you'd like an evening snack, here are some good ideas. Apple and peanut butter, cottage cheese with almonds and carrots. That's one of my regular daily go-tos around 3 p.m. Orange with Greek yogurt, celery, peanut butter, and banana. If you want a little more indulgent one, what if you just had a small amount of Hershey's Kisses, chocolate-covered almonds, or chocolate-covered blueberries, or something like that? You could even have some berries with some heavy whipping cream on top. That would be delicious. So hopefully that gives you some ideas for your meals. I definitely am a big fan of planning meals before shopping. It definitely helps me stick to a budget and my financial goals, as well as making sure I have all the components needed to make good, rounded, Power Foods Lifestyle meals. A quote I wanted to share that I've been thinking about this week is by Irma Bombeck. She says, "If I had my life to live over, instead of wishing away 9 months of pregnancy, I'd have cherished every moment and realized that the wonderment growing inside me was the only chance in life to assist God in a miracle." And I just think that's so beautiful when we are coming out of this sick, tired, blah, 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 like just feeling, nothing time of our lives. It's really difficult sometimes to focus on the end goal and how beautiful and wonderful it is, especially if this is your first baby. Something I'm very grateful for now, having gone through the first baby, now this is baby number 2, is being able to play with my daughter every day. And she is the motivation. I look at her and I know what's coming, and it's beautiful and perfect and awesome. And I also want to be mindful. I don't want to wish away any day that I have with her. If I wished away my pregnancy and just wanted the end to be here, I would miss out on her 15 to about 20 months of development. I probably did the math wrong. I don't want to miss those days. I don't want to miss those months. And so just being present, enjoying where we're at, doing our best and dropping expectations and saying, I'm going to really just give myself some grace here and do my best. And that is a really wonderful thing. Just a reminder to be drinking plenty of water. I like to fill up my water bottles ahead of time and put them out on the counter as a goal. I have 33-ounce water bottles, and I like to try and drink one before noon. I try and drink one before my afternoon snack around 3:30. On nights I teach dance, I try to drink one while I am there. And so that's 3 of those in one day. So that's about 100 ounces total that I'm trying to get in right now. Some days, depending on the heaviness of my workout, then I'm able to get a little bit more. I'm not doing too much cardiovascularly right now with my workouts. I'm just working on weights and moving with my body. And so that's been really good for me. All right. Well, that concludes today's episode. For those of you who aren't interested in hearing a little bit more about folate and folic acid, it's kind of controversial. And so that's why I just want to give you a little moment to head out of here. If you're not wanting to question some things and start doing a little bit more research, I definitely don't want to share this to create any fear in anybody. But I think the more we know, the better, right? So this information comes from Dr. Ben Lynch. He is on Instagram and his website is drbenlynch.com. I will link this article in the show notes. So I'm going to go ahead and just read this here. Hardly anyone talks about folic acid side effects. Folic acid is not some major blockbuster drug having a list of dangerous side effects longer than its benefits, like all the ones on TV. According to WebMD, folic acid effects are these. Folic acid is likely safe for most people when taken by mouth or injected into the body. Most adults do not experience any side effects when used in doses less than 1,000 micrograms daily. Folic acid is possibly unsafe when taken by mouth in large doses long term. High doses of folic acid might cause abdominal cramps, diarrhea, rash, sleep disorders, irritability, confusion, nausea, stomach upset, behavior changes, skin reactions, seizures, gas, excitability, and other side effects. There is some concern that taking too much folic acid for a long period of time might cause serious side effects. Some research suggests that taking folic acid in doses of 800 to 1200 micrograms might increase the risk of heart attack in people who have heart problems. Other research suggests that taking these high doses might also increase the risk of cancer, such as lung or prostate cancer. While these are great to know, these are not the folic side effects I want to share with you. I want to inform you about the hidden or undiscussed side effects of folic acid. Note, all published references supporting my presentation are below in this article. Why is no one talking about what I'm about to show you? Likely because you have to really dig for them. Published literature contains very little on the side effects of folic acid. In fact, using that term won't get you much. Instead of searching for folic acid side effects to get you the information you want, you need to be creative. Let's walk through this step by step. It will be worth your while. MTHFR testing has exploded globally. The positive finding is triggering a flurry of L5-MTHF supplementation or prescriptive medication. This is the inappropriate response. MTHFR variants have been present for countless generations. The increase in cardiovascular diseases, congenital birth defects, infertility, recurrent miscarriages are not a result of the MTHFR variant. It is a result of the environmental impact on MTHFR expression. MTHFR is unable to handle the current present-day load. A big factor weighing down MTHFR? Folic acid. Plants grew and provided natural forms of folate. We harvested the fresh plants and utilized them immediately in various ways. Salads, steamed, dried, baked. In this manner, we received the nutrients as offered by the plant itself. One such nutrient provided by plants, especially leafy greens, is folate. Folate comes from the Latin root folium, which means leaf. This powerful nutrient provides one of the most fundamentally important compounds in human biochemistry, the methyl group. Access to these foods changed during the industrialized era. Instead of fresh breads baked daily, big business looked for ways to mass produce. The issue with mass production of finished food products, such as bread, was shelf life. It was found that if the outer parts of the grains were stripped off and milled, shelf life was extended dramatically. The result of extended shelf life led to a surge in production and profits. It also led to a surge in birth defects and medical issues. The rise of folic acid. Instead of fixing the solution by reverting back to whole grains and fresh food, an artificial nutrient was created and added to these processed foods, folic acid. In the rush to get folic acid to market, it was tested only on rats. It turns out that rats have a high ability to convert folic acid into a more bioavailable form of folate, dihydrofolate. We are not using folic acid in rats. We're using it in humans. This synthetic nutrient has indeed proven to reduce some incidences of birth defects and signs of folate deficiency, but it hasn't done it successfully enough. What we are finding now is that folic acid is actually harming us. Folic acid is doing it quietly and insidiously. Folic acid has no known physiological effect on human biochemistry, 0. While folic acid looks similar to natural folate, it is not close enough. Synthetic folic acid is lacking the body's most fundamental biochemical compound, a methyl group. To convert folic acid into methylated folate requires A. Multiple functional genes producing, B. Functional enzymes, which requires C. Adequate cofactors. This is difficult enough, but it's not all. The enzymes produced must also be in an environment free of compounds which interfere with their function, such as medications, heavy metals, cytokines, and chemicals. While rats can convert folic acid into dihydrofolate quickly and successfully, human biochemistry does not. Only 200 micrograms of folic acid can move through a human enzyme called DHFR. This is in humans who have a functional DHFR gene. There are known DHFR variants which lead to a further significant reduction in function. What does this mean? It means that folic acid is even less effective. We made a dangerous assumption. We assumed since rats can convert folic acid easily into dihydrofolate, humans can too. Since humans cannot convert folic acid effectively, the excess leads to high amounts of what is known as unmetabolized folic acid in the blood. Unmetabolized folic acid is folic acid. Here are the reasons why unmetabolized folic acid is harmful. It has no physiological benefit to the host until it is converted into dihydrofolate. Folate transport proteins bind it preferentially over more reduced active folate. Contributes to a pseudo-MTHFR deficiency due to enzymatic inhibition of MTHFR. Reduces DHFR enzymatic function, which reduces biopterin recycling, thereby contributing to a biopterin deficiency. It masks a vitamin B12 deficiency. This combination of negative physiological effects of folic acid is extremely significant. In summary, they lead to what is called a functional folate deficiency. Common labs which measure serum folate are measuring the entire folate pool in the blood. One cannot assume that serum folate contains the most active form of folate, which it should. Over 80% of circulating folate should be L5-methyltetrahydrofolate. This is far from what many individuals have circulating. Serum folate consists of unmetabolized folic acid, dihydrofolate, tetrahydrofolate, folinic acid, L5-MTHF. This is not clinically useful information except only in the case of frank folate deficiency when serum folate is low. The only ways to determine a functional folate deficiency are history. How much folic acid are you taking, and how much processed food are you eating, as folic acid is found in these. Labs, measuring UMFA, which is unmetabolized folic acid. The issue is labs do not measure this. They used to, but stopped due to lack of demand. We need it back. Labs, measuring cerebral folate, which is quite invasive. If cerebral folate deficiency is identified, prescribing folic acid to treat it is contraindicated. Folic acid is a known contraindication of cerebral folate deficiency. This alone begs the question, why are we using folic acid at all? Couldn't we all be struggling with some level of cerebral folate deficiency? Folate, it's what we need. Folic acid served its purpose. Industrialization stripped grains of natural vitamins, oils, and fiber. This led to a dramatic increase in miscarriages and birth defects. Governments had to do something. The solution chosen was not to revert back to using whole grains. It was to use synthetic man-made folic acid, which has no physiological effect until it is metabolized into more reduced folates. The use of folic acid absolutely did reduce the incidence of miscarriages and birth defects, in some. Not nearly enough, especially in Hispanic populations. The FDA is working on fortifying corn flour now with folic acid. This is not the solution. The solution is to use natural forms of folate which are readily available and nearly as inexpensive as folic acid. Without the presence of folic acid, natural folates may bind to folate transport proteins freely, bind to folate receptors freely, help synthesize biopterin, not mask a vitamin B12 deficiency, and enhance cellular folate levels. So how do we fix the folate problem? Folic acid is mandated to be included in many processed foods by many countries around the world. Stopping this bad practice is not going to cease anytime soon. Thankfully, steps may be taken right now to optimize human folate levels. We can avoid processed foods containing synthetic folic acid. We can consume whole foods containing natural folates. We can avoid supplements containing folic acid. We can utilize supplements containing folinic acid, which is calcium folinate, and or L-methylfolate, aka L5-MTHF, 6S5-MTHF. Consume organ meats such as liver, grass-fed, and younger animals. While these steps will indeed support one's folate levels, it is not sufficient enough to make a difference across the globe. Education. This is what needs to happen now in order to reduce the risks of functional folate deficiency. Now that you are aware of the potential risks of folic acid, you can now reduce your risk of functional folate deficiency. So just a few quick notes on this article, because this is certainly not the only source of information that I used to gain my opinion, but this is just a good entryway into learning more about this if you are interested. I do not take a prenatal vitamin due to there being folic acid in it. There is folic acid in a few of the foods I eat, especially in trimester 1, when I'm just eating survival. But once my desire to eat power food starts to come back, between now and 20 weeks or so, I want to see those fortified folic acid sources really disappear from my diet. Now, I'm not sharing this to tell you to do what I do. I'm just sharing what I do and encouraging you to do your own research. So please do not just say, oh, well, I trust Kristy, I'm just going to do what she does, because you and I have different bodies and needs. I'm going to actually get what I take out of my medicine cabinet right now. So this is by the company One Elevated. It's methylfolate plus with L5-MTHF and methyl B12. So I take this when I am trying to get pregnant and then all during pregnancy. I did that with my first, and I will do it with all of my babies. Most of trimester 1, when I didn't feel like taking pills, I just didn't take anything, and I didn't stress it. I just said, today's a day that those will come right back up, and so we're not going to worry about it. I hope this has been helpful to you. I'm always available if you want to Facebook message me at Kristy Jo Wengert, Wengert. Go ahead and add me as a friend. Or you can email me at powerfoodslifestyle@gmail.com. I'm willing to bet you're doing a great job, probably better job than you think you are in your pregnancy so far. I know it takes a lot of patience. It's something you think about all day long. but we can do it together. So hang in there, keep it going, make baby steps. Let's try to improve just a little bit more. Think about those meal sizes. Think about what you can do to rein yourself back in and a little bit more discipline. And if you haven't yet, if you can start doing a little bit of some workouts, even if it's just stretching at this point, let's connect to that body each day so we can feel good, so we can help ourselves feel human even for this next interim of time. And that's my hope for you. And I hope that you can truly be the master of yourself. Power your body, one meal, one workout, one day at a time.